Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. My name is Augie Sabini. I use the pronouns he and him. If today is your first time with us, we'd love to get to know you. Right after the service, you are invited to our welcoming room. And it's located right by that fancy south entrance. And if you're online, the link to our visitor form is being dropped into chat right now. Kerplunk. As you enter this sanctuary, and if at any point during the service, you may write your joys and sorrows in our book and light a candle or place a stone in the water. Those joining from home can write prayers of joy and sorrow into the Zoom chat, which will be open until the sermon. And during the week, anybody can go to our pastoral care portal on the website to let our ministers know if you need support. We gather in worship to find meaning and to live more deeply. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to be our better selves, calling us to live with wisdom and compassion. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy, we are glad you're here. Now we light our chalice with the able assistance of Victoria.
This time.
Yeah, grr.
Thank you, Chalice.
Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth, agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom, we strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home. And now, let's say together the words of our mission. Beautiful. Empowered by love, we transform ourselves and serve our world.
Good morning, everyone. Good Sunday morning to you. I am the Reverend Jen Youngsun, and I use the pronouns she and her. It is so good to be with you today. This church is a place of both comfort and challenge. It is a refuge for those needing rest from a long week, a harbor from the storms of bigotry and hatred. It's a place where we can remember the essential goodness of life. It's also a place that calls for courage when confronted with new ideas unfolding in unexpected ways. This is a community of people bravely testing the bonds of our covenants. It's a place where we can speak the truth as we know them now. Church is both a safe harbor and the open sea. So come, let us recall the meaning of this place, its people, and our purpose. Come, let us worship together. We're going to try something today, and hopefully it won't take too long. But if you could briefly greet your neighbors this morning, we'll give you about a minute just to say hello to each other, okay? On this Labor Day weekend, our time of meditation and prayer is for work and workers of all kinds. As we know, in this economy, there are those who receive endless praise and recognition, rewards and bonuses for their labor. But the majority of the peoples of this earth labor with very little reward and recognition. And so let's begin, as we do with our metta, loving kindness meditation, acknowledging the work that you have done and the work that you have been doing. Whether this is paid work or unpaid work, it matters not. Think about the labor of your mind and your hands and your heart. And look upon yourself with appreciation for that labor and say thank you. And now let's consider the people that we know best, the people whom we love. What do you know of their work? What do you know of their labors? Bring them to your mind. Bring to your mind the work of their hands and their hearts. And say thank you. May you be able to do this work for as long as you want to. And now let's think of those people that you encounter every day as they work for your benefit. I think about the staff here at UUCE and the volunteers who work sometimes very quietly without recognition. Something gets done here in the church, and we don't know who did it. You know, there's no lawn service here at church, but there is one volunteer who comes and mows the lawn every week. Our volunteers here pull weeds and paint, they clean, they do so much. And there are so many in our lives who do so much for us. They help us and they improve our lives in so many ways. Let us give thanks for them. Now expand your awareness to those whom you will never meet, and yet you depend on them for your very nourishment. You depend on them for your comfort, for your entertainment. So many of their labors are unseen. Let us see them now and say thank you. For all labor, paid and unpaid, let me offer this prayer of praise. This is an excerpt from a poem that we read at this very same time last year, Alabanza by Martin Espada. For the 43 members of hotel employees and restaurant employees, Local 100, working at the Windows on the World restaurant, who lost their lives in the attack on the World Trade Centers. Alabanza, praise the great windows where immigrants from the kitchen could squint and almost see the world, their world, hear the chant of nations, Ecuador, Mexico, República Dominicana, Haiti, Yemen, Ghana, Bangladesh. Alabanza, praise the kitchen in the morning where the gas burned blue on every stove and exhaust fans fired their diminutive propellers. Hands cracked eggs with quick thumbs or sliced open cartons to build an altar of cans. Alabanza, praise the busboys' music the chimmy of his dishes and silverware in the tub. Alabanza praised the dish dog, the dishwasher, who worked that morning because another dishwasher could not stop coughing, or because he needed overtime to pile the sacks of rice and beans for a family floating away on some Caribbean island plagued by frogs. Alabanza praised the waitress who heard the radio in the kitchen and sang to herself about a man gone. Alabanza, alabanza.
This is a poem, Otherwise, by Jane Kenyon. I got out of bed on two strong legs. It might have been otherwise. I ate cereal, sweet milk, ripe, flawless peach. It might have been otherwise. I took the dog uphill into the birch wood. All morning I did the work I love. At noon I laid down with my mate. It might have been otherwise. We ate dinner together with silver candlesticks. It might have been otherwise. I slept in a bed, in a room with paintings, planned a day just like this day. But one day, I know, it will be otherwise.
Some say that Jane Kenyon began to write her very best poetry after she started feeling ill. She would discover the source of those symptoms to be leukemia, which took her life when she was just 47 years old. Some of us are able to enjoy the lovely feeling of assuredness and comfort that she describes at the beginning of this poem. But as she reminds us in that last line, that state is ultimately not sustainable. And for the majority of humans living on this earth, the global majority, that kind of comfort isn't easily found. In these days, in this time when life on our planet and in our societies often feels unstable and dangerous, the function of this church, both the physical building itself and the people who comprise its heart and its soul, the function of this church is to provide a balm of healing, and it is to equip people to grow in courage and resilience. The church can serve as a reliable harbor when life's stormy waves crash relentlessly against our vessel. At some point, though, all boats must leave the harbor to face the sea once more. Did you know that there are over 1,400 harbors in the United States? I know it now. Those harbors provide safe shelter for ships and dinghies and kayaks and skiffs and all the other names for boats that you can think of. It is a place to rest, to make repairs, and to replenish supplies. The harbors can be as big as New York Harbor. New York Harbor is so big that it can house Ellis Island, Roosevelt Island, and the Statue of Liberty. Or it can be as small as Oregon's own Depot Bay, which is considered the world's smallest harbor. This church building has become a sort of dry land harbor for many in our city. This building will mark its 10-year anniversary this spring, and its existence is a testimony to the dedicated labor of many, many of your hands. This is a place of safety for support groups like Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon, and a new group coming, Overeaters Anonymous. Transponder, a local organization providing services to the transgender and gender diverse community, uses this space for its small groups and large events. Families from ARC, serving people with intellectual and physical disabilities, rely on this space for their COVID vaccination clinics. This is a wonderful, safe space for the preschoolers getting ready to come back from their summer break. And twice a month, this is the place where people can stock up on fresh food, dry goods, and now food for their pets. They can come to this Produce Plus location knowing that no one will judge them and no one's going to try to convert them. This building is also a safe harbor for our Latinx neighbors who have found this, especially this sanctuary and social hall, to be a great place to celebrate the coming of age of their teenage daughters. The quinceañera is a grand, glitter-filled party for the girls' 15th birthday, and our space has become a popular site for these parties. Imagine how important it is to be able to express your ethnic heritage as freely and as exuberantly as you want to. Some of you know that speaking any other language other than English in the streets of Springfield or Eugene can be a little risky. And to have a space where you can speak Spanish and not have someone tell you to go back to where you came from is incredibly important. Of course, this church building is also a harbor for those who have weathered the storms of religious bigotry and intolerance. Those of you who have been kicked out of other churches, that's me included, and those of you who have left by your own choice can find relief here in the absence of overt religious symbols. This is also a place where you can come when you're weary or sick, sad or lonely. If you've had a week of frustration or despair, you can come here to rest and restore and recollect yourself. Now, even if the Sunday message isn't really resonating with you, there is always, thank goodness, music. There is poetry. There is the company of both strangers and friends. There is the sight and sound of children. There is this light-filled space. There is the ritual of stone and water and candles. We all share this universal hunger and universal need to belong, to have a reliable connection with people and places. As our closing song says, for everyone born, a place at the table, to live without fear and simply to be, to work, to speak out, to witness, to worship. For everyone born, the right to be free. Anyone who has ever been out on the water knows how important it is to be able to pull into a harbor. It doesn't matter how fancy or shabby your boat is. Harbors are not exclusive. They can't be, and neither can the church. This physical building, of course, is just one aspect of the church. The people, the community members, bound by covenant, can also be a harbor. Those of you who have been traveling the spiritual road for a long time, you have found deep, calm waters inside yourself, and you now offer safe harbor to others. You care for others in the way that you pay attention to visitors and newcomers. It shows in the way you speak to one another and handle conflict. It shows in the way you receive the stories of others with open-hearted curiosity. I would describe every one of our lay pastoral associates in this way. The harbor is a wonderful place to refill your tank and to replenish your supplies and to regain your strength. But at some point, it will be time to set sail and move out once more into the open waters. As I mentioned earlier, people often come to a Unitarian Universalist church after having been harmed by some past religious experience. The UU Church then becomes a place of healing and spiritual exploration. Sometimes, though, people can stay in the calm waters, that calm surface of exploration for years and years and years, never really embarking on a path of personal transformation, never challenging themselves, and never really leaving the safe harbor. Now, please don't take what I'm saying to mean that you should leave the church. When I say leave the harbor, I don't mean leave the church. Just consider leaving the comfort of the protected cove. Right now, we're in the middle of a workshop series called Defund Fear, where we're confronting our own assumptions about the meaning of public safety, punishment, and policing. For many of us, this is definitely sailing in open waters. And the small group connection circles, that is also an invitation to leave the harbor. Now, you could, if you wanted to, approach the SGCC, Small Group Connection Circle, as a safe social activity. But this is an opportunity for you to take some risks. How vulnerable are you willing to be? How much are you willing to trust others with your story? How honest are you ready to be with your own self? How much time are you willing to invest in exploring how deep you can go in this life? Intentional spiritual practice is not to be found in the harbor. It is to be found in the wide open sea. As you know, one of our favorite songs at UUCE is Peter Mayer's Blue Boat Home, right?
I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
You know, Peter almost became a Jesuit priest. 2 years into seminary, though, he realized that this was not his true calling. But the songs that he writes are sermons that preach the largest possible faith. As we sail through life, enjoying as much as we can, we do it knowing that one day it will be otherwise. There are times when we will need the shelter of a harbor, and times when we are called to be the harbor for others. And at times, we must leave the safety of the harbor, knowing that our ultimate belonging is to life itself, to the wide universe that some of us call God. May it be so. Amen. Let's say together our closing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. We carry these in our hearts until we are together again. And now, as you go out into this brand new week, may this light guide your days. May you find calm waters for rest and the courage for new adventures. Go in love, everyone. Go in peace.